I gave an audition for your show, Maja Avegi.
Yeah.
So I did not reply to her. I saw this. I told Mukesh, I said, there's something. There's this hustle, this hunger. She wants to prove herself. I wanted to make Harshad Mehta Story as a film as far back as 2005. But no producer was ready to back it at that time. My job in the writer's room was to keep them motivated and happy and to cook food for them. Ultimately, my job is, I'm a filmmaker, I'm not a documentary filmmaker. My job is to tell the story, to engage with the audience. I'm just a filmmaker in search of an audience. My long form work has found its audience. You ask me what I watch watch mostly action. I'm a major action freak. I love watching action. My most favorite franchise is Mission Impossible.
Hi guys, this is Himesh and welcome to Pinkvilla. Today we have with us Hansal Mehta, who has a series which I have seen and loved, Scoop, up for release soon. Welcome to Pinkvilla, sir. It's lovely having you here.
Hi Himesh.
So my first question to you is, I've seen the series. It's so hard-hitting and it's so engaging. I binge watched it and I completed all the 6 episodes wanting to know what next. Like, that was my reaction while seeing the series. How did you react when you first came across this subject?
I read Jigna Bora's book.
Yeah.
And that book was primarily a prison diary. I knew that, beyond the prison, there was a story to be told. About today's times, about journalism, about a woman who is a crime reporter in a world which is dominated by men. So I thought there was a strong story there to be told, but we had to explore further. The book was like the starting point, was the catalyst. You saw her, in the book you saw the ordeal that she had to go through. But the larger story was, how did she get there? And I think that was the starting point. And that excited me. I said, if we explore that, then I'm excited.
Okay.
And then, of course, I also had a condition that as a co-creator, as a writer, I want Mrunmayee Lagu. So that was a condition. I told Sarita, who's the producer, I said, please get Mrunmayee, because I had just seen Thappad and it was spectacularly written. And I said, I want Mrunmayee because I think she will be able to do that kind of exploration. At the same time, make it engaging. I mean, Thappad was a difficult film to write. It was one small event, and yet it was so engaging. So that I felt, that it needed her, and luckily Mrunmayee also agreed. So that's how it started off. This is much before Scam released. I signed it much before that. Much before, October 9, 2020 is when Scam released. This meeting happened in February 2020, just pre-pandemic.
Okay, 1 month before the pandemic.
1 month before the pandemic, and 2 weeks after this meeting, actually the shoot for Scam was finished.
Okay.
The post-production was about to begin.
Okay.
So it was at a time when actually I was very uncertain of my own future. So at that time we also, early days, Sacred Games had happened. There was Amazon, where you had Mirzapur, you
Panchayat, I think.
A couple of shows had worked there, but it was early days for the long form. At that time. So I took it on, said let's see where it goes.
Since the inception, this was always a long form format in terms of this.
So Sarita actually asked me, said, what do you see it as a film or a series? I said, this is a series.
So actually, that I had this as one of my questions. Is it easier to adapt a book in the long form format, or is it for the feature?
It actually depends. It depends on the story and the characters and the world that you're dealing with. For example, it is difficult to make a Harshad Mehta Story as a film. It's very difficult. I wanted to make Harshad Mehta Story as a film as far back as 2005. But no producer was ready to back it at that time. So when it finally came to me as a series, I realized that the material is so rich and there's so much that it needs long form storytelling. So I think it depends on the story sometimes. I cannot make my film Shahid into a series.
True.
Unless I take Shahid's cases one after the other. But I cannot make that into a film. So I think every story has its own format. It's like, you have news in tabloids, small items, and you have really long reads. So it's a similar distinction.
So, when I was watching Scoop, there are so many subtexts in the film. Like, I forgot the character name, but there's one, the person who is eventually promoted as the chief editor. You see him, his dimension with his wife on one end. And on the other end, subconsciously, he's doing the same thing with
His wife.
How was it to balance this? Was it a conscious decision to show hypocrisy that exists?
I think that a lot of that credit should go to the writing team.
Yeah.
I mean, they fleshed out all this. And my job in the writer's room was to keep them motivated and happy and to cook food for them. But yeah, I mean, they came up with a lot of these, really lovely characters. That's why we fictionalized the story, because there's a lot more to say. So, there's a true story that became the starting point. And beyond that, there was a larger tale to tell.
Yeah.
About our world, about the city, about journalism, and about misogyny. And the character you're talking about, Pushkar.
Pushkar, yeah.
So his equation with his wife and what is happening in his office, that subtext, very seamlessly the writers had woven it in.
And when you're making a film on a real life story, as a filmmaker, is it more exciting when you fictionalize it? Because even in Scam, I think there was slight fiction, and I think even over here. So does it excite you? Okay, ye hua hai. Now I can bring my own vision or version to...
I always treat stories like a work of fiction. The writers get into the research, they create the script, they make sure that whatever they are writing is as authentic as possible. But I try to approach it afresh, because ultimately my job is, I'm a filmmaker, I'm not a documentary filmmaker. I'm a filmmaker. My job is to tell the story, to engage with the audience.
Yeah.
I have to, if the audience doesn't get engaged in viewing what I'm showing you, whatever I'm trying to say will get lost.
True.
So the message cannot be bigger than the story.
Karishma in the title, that's a very anti-casting, I would say. No one would have imagined her. How did that happen?
Well, Karishma auditioned like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
25 girls auditioned for the part. Some of them were striking. Like Mukesh, I think more than 100 girls auditioned. Mukesh sent me a short list of 20.
Okay.
So I was going through all of them. I saw Karishma's audition. I called Mukesh. So Mukesh's response, he said, Karishma na? Karishma Tanna na? I said, हाँ कैसे पता तेरे को? बोला नहीं मुझे भी लगा. And there was something. She gave the audition.
Yeah.
And she messaged me after the audition, saying, "Ke sir, I gave an audition for your show. Maja aayegi."
Yeah.
So I did not reply to her. I saw this. I told Mukesh, there's this hustle, this hunger. She wants to prove herself. She's not pretending to be a great actor. She's just desperate to prove to people that I'm an actor. Take me seriously.
Yeah.
So there's a desperate hustle.
Yeah.
So I found that almost overlapping with the character that she was going to play. The motivations of Jagruti and Karishma almost overlapped.
True.
So and I'm fortunate Netflix allowed me that liberty also. They said, okay, go ahead. Somewhere the choice of Pratik Gandhi as Harshad Mehta has given me that power to choose correctly.
True.
And I try to use it responsibly.
And so when we talk of a scam or a scoop, this is something which I have noticed. There are not many abuses in your storytelling. In OTT world, we see so many people using it just for sensationalizing, and there are some who use it responsibly. And I think there's nothing. In both the series, there is barely anything.
I cannot do it for effect.
Yeah.
Because it is you show on screen. Ultimately, it's an extension of your own personality.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm an abusive person. How can my characters be like that? Because they're all extensions of me.
Yeah.
Their words are extensions of me. Their behavior is an extension of me. How can that be?
And I think that's what makes it a good watch with the family.
With the family, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, when we talk of journalism, the film talks about journalism. How do you personally view the state of journalism in today's time?
I judge journalism the way anybody who is exposed to journalism would. But I do feel that this story, which is set in 2011, is a cautionary tale, not only for the time that we are in, but it's for the time to come. This is way back then also, a trial by media was conducted Jigna Vora was pronounced guilty, even though she was acquitted by the court in 2018. She was fully acquitted, yet she has yet to reclaim her life. The law acquitted her, but life has not given her a chance. She still doesn't have a job. She does not have a job. She is, struggling, and her own colleagues, still ex-colleagues, treat her like, possibly an ex-murderer. So that trial by media has to stop. That judgment, the media was meant to report, not to judge. It's a lesson. Why I call it a cautionary tale? Because one day the reporter does not realize that he might become the reported, and when that happens, the hunter will become the hunted. So the reporter has to stop becoming a hunter. He has to report. That is the danger. We are blinded right now by either blinded or pressured into not doing what you're meant to do. That it's a pillar. It upholds democracy. Journalism is one such institution that upholds democracy, and we are in a state of undemocracy because this pillar is shaky.
I think what you spoke about in the answer of how we are meant to report, and who knows one day, I think that realization also comes to the character in the film, that when she's wondering, okay, they are speaking about me in the same way how I was, and Imran always warned me, be careful of what it is. So I think it's an extension of what you also believe that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we are all seeing it, and even, the entire fraternity, the journalist fraternity, somewhere does realize it, but you don't realize that, the collateral damage can be very high. And that's why this story is important. That scoop is an important story for our times.
If we look at it, this is your 30th year in the industry. From 1993 to 2023, how do you view your growth as a director and the biggest learnings or evolution through the 3 decades?
I think I'm still learning. That's all. It's every day is a learning. Every day there's something new, and every day is a new challenge. I think it took me a long time to find my voice, because I started off not knowing anything. I just sort of threw myself into this and went along with life. I was a young, 24, 25-year-old boy who liked food and made a food show. And I just went with the flow. I don't know when I got such wonderful friends here, when those friends helped me bag my first film, and suddenly I find myself, I look back, I said, it's 30 years. Sometimes it surprises me also. But I mean, I would say the last 12 to 13 years have been particularly special, where I feel that I have found myself as a storyteller, as a filmmaker. I have understood my strengths and my weaknesses, and I try to work on them more consciously. I still fail, but I've learned to look at failure also fairly objectively. I still fail, I still make mistakes on the way, but I learned to recognize those mistakes, and I've learned to stumble and also rise again.
Okay. What, according to you, is your biggest strength as a director?
My biggest strength is, I think, to trust. I put a lot of faith in all the people that I work with. It's a faith that I need reciprocated.
Okay.
If I trust somebody, I need that person to trust me. That's where the best work comes. Whether it's a producer, actor, director of photography, editor, everybody, we need to trust each other. You need to allow, all of us are creating. We're all co-creators in this endeavor, and we need to trust each other. The moment that chain of trust is broken, you will see it in the final output.
But I know this is my observation, I don't know how much you would agree. 2 of your most commercial, what we call, work has come on OTT, Scam and Scoop. How do you view this? Because the story, basically I'm saying commercial because the arc of character, there is an arc to the character. Over here there's an arc of redemption, and even in Scam there's an arc that the character goes through.
The difference, I'll tell you, Shahid, my film is as commercial as a Scam. It has the same kind of arc. It's a family drama. But the difference here is Shahid was released like on a Friday. And it was written off on a Saturday. Sunday, the phone stopped ringing until it won a national award 1 year later. By then I'd moved on.
Okay.
By the time it was announced, I was making city lights. So, but here that pressure is less. Yes, you have to deliver, you have to engage.
Yeah.
You know, so when Shahid ultimately came on Netflix,
Yeah.
when Faraz, which was released, it just disappeared.
Yeah.
When it came on Netflix, it found its audience. So I believe I am just a filmmaker in search of an audience. My long form work has found its audience.
Okay.
And I mean, Scam, frankly, we never expected it to be the success that it was. We knew we had worked hard, but by the time Scam came out, the only objective we had was that I hope that we finish. I hope we finish and we deliver. You know, we were so paranoid about delivery at that time that we never, I mean, I went off on a break because we had not slept for weeks. You know, for almost few months I had not slept to deliver Scam. That the day it got delivered, I got up in the morning, I drove off with my family and I said, I don't want to read reviews or anything. 4 days later, Pratik called me and says, sir, I think my life has changed. You know, that's when I realized that something was shifting, something was happening. And yeah, I mean, I've stopped expecting. I think I just do my work with whatever honesty and truth I have within me. And I think the audience is intelligent enough to absorb that, to see it.
Yeah.
And I just try to make my work as engaging as possible. Yeah, you know, and the long form gives you an opportunity. The long form, you know, where you can actually build characters and make them part of you.
Yeah.
You know, like Jagruti Pathak, end of the first episode, she becomes a member of your family.
True.
All the people around her, her Nana ji, her mama, her parents, everybody, they become part of your family.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this format.
True. Have you ever aspired to make an out and out action film?
If you ask me what I watch mostly action. I'm a major action freak. I love watching action. My most favorite franchise is Mission Impossible. I keep waiting for Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
And after that, it's James Bond. And I'm into like very, very straightforward action. Action, Indiana Jones, you know, Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones, James Bond. Those are my favorite watches. Like on Netflix, there's a film. I don't remember what it's called. Six Underground, no? Yeah, so that is my favorite film. I watch it every time I'm like puck out, no? So I download the film. Now I watch the first 30 minutes. It's got like the greatest action I've seen in a long, long time. Yeah, it's crazy. The action is absolutely, I've never seen that kind of action. You know, action has to be mounted correctly. It needs the money. And if action has to be done for the large screen, it needs a big star. So, you know, all those things have to work out. I'm in a happy space right now. So I have not really looked at that yet, seriously.
And so what next for you after Scoop? Like,
there's a show on Mahatma Gandhi, which we begin shooting soon. Yeah, and I mean, there's the film that I shot with Kareena Kapoor. So that is, you know, being readied now. We are in the middle of editing and post-production. So yeah, I mean, those are the two things that I'm immediately working on. And then yeah, there's a film next year.
Which you will start next year.
Which I'll start next year.
There's
a film. There's maybe season 2 of Scoop.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's lots. There's Scam, which is releasing later this year. So yeah, the plate is quite full. Yeah.
Looking forward to all of them. And thank you so much. It was lovely speaking to you.
Thank you, Himesh.
And I hope the audience also loves Scoop as much as I did. So
thank you.